If you're building your ABA company and you're tired of guessing, this is for you. We built the BCBA blueprint to give you real structure, systems, and support without the fluff. Details are in the description.
Welcome, everyone. Once again, we have Jing Zhou here to talk to us from Core Action Consulting. Jing's message is very close to my heart. She focuses on systems and strategy and building businesses that will, number one, get you ready for your exit. We always have to be ready for exit, no matter what. Things happen that you're not expecting, so you want to be prepared for that. And number two, really preparing your business for exit is building a solid business with structure and systems and strategy, and making sure that it has value because those systems and structure exist. And that leads to you having a business that doesn't require you to be there all the time. It's very difficult and sometimes impossible to sell a business that requires you to be there, because the whole point is they should be able to buy something that doesn't need you present to operate. So all of these things really fit together into making sure that you're driving value in your business, you're systemizing it, you're building it on your systems and your design, not just building it on your people. And Jing, welcome. Thank you again for your time. Take it away.
Thank you for having me. And as we got together last month to cover the first of the series of 3 webinars, we talked about exit planning starts from today, from day one, you start your business. And exit planning is an important business strategy as you grow your business and to the next level and to grow value into your business. So it's not something that you think about prior to, say, a year or a year and a half prior to your exiting. So that is like a mindset shift to see exit planning as a business strategy. So imagine as a business owner, you work harder than anyone else in your company, and you're preparing your business for the future. You've invested your time and energy, countless hours, your blood, tears, and sweat into your business in building something extraordinary. And one day we are ready to sell your business, only to find out that your business is not as valuable as you thought. So as an owner, if you worry about this or might have experienced this, so I don't know how many people in the audience so that might have experienced this, and you're not alone. So every week I talk to business owners in the ABA field about their business growth, about their valuation. And unfortunately, many ABA business practices are heavily owner dependent, so that lacks substantial value, and they're simply unsellable. So I hate to say that. So that's why we're going to talk about how to make your business valuable and marketable down the road so that you can exit on your turn. So why so many businesses are just owner-dependent, unsellable, so at this point? And the reason is a lot of the owners don't necessarily understand what makes their business valuable and attractive. So that's what this whole series is about. And today we're going to uncover the hidden value drivers of your business. And we're going to talk about the intangible cap. Move to the next slide. So these are the 3 webinars. So today we're on the second one. So if you missed the first one, you can watch the recording from the channel. I think it's moved to YouTube now, and Derek and Josh can tell you where to find it. And we also have the next one in May. So today we have 2 learning objectives to understand the 4 intangible capitals that impact your business valuation. I will call that 4 C's. And they're intangible because they're not directly measured on your P&L or balance sheet. However, they make up a significant part of your business value. And the second objective is to talk about strategies to enhance each one of these C's, intangible capitals, for sustainable growth and increased valuation. So your business down the road, so you can exit on your term. And for people who were not here last time, just a quick recap of my background. So I'm a BCBA by training, and I owned my ABA business and an ABA school for 20 years before I exited both of my business in 2019. And now I coach business owners in the ABA space in growing their value and growing their business and to improve their operations so that they can have both fulfill their mission, as well as have strong financials and value. I'm a certified exit planning advisor, as well as a certified business coach. This is great. So let's dive into the 4 C's. The first one we're going to talk about is the human capital. So human capital refers to your people. So think about your team. Think about their talent, their experience, their knowledge, their skills, their resilience, and their motivation, and as a team collectively. So if you have a strong team, so with strong human capital in your business, that not only will make your day-to-day operations easier, it will only also enhance the value of your business. So make your business less dependent on you as a business owner. And one of the things that I found as I talk to owners is the owners are usually wearing many hats in their businesses. So they're the ones talking to the clients and building the relationship with the referral sources. And some of them are also clinical directors in their own business. So they're also the ones that overseeing the claims revenue cycle management and doing the hiring. So the owner holds significant amount of knowledge and skills and the relations. So by that, they also become the bottleneck of the growth because the owner is making the decisions, all the decisions, big ones and little ones. So they're all centralized around the owner. So their team could not really move forward without getting approved by the owner or waiting for the owner to look over and tell them what to do. So that really significantly limits the scalability of your business and makes the business very unattractive in the eyes of the buyer. What if the owner leaves one day so the team doesn't know anything about how to operate the day-to-day and how to run the business? So building a strong team is essential to your growth. And I can understand your business is like your baby. It's really difficult to trust your baby in the hands of other people. So that's why so many owners have a hard time delegating and letting go. So they're the superhero and they are the best employee in their own business, multiple hats. Imagine kind of a superhero scenario, and very few of them are actually scalable. And you want to grow a team of superheroes, so in your business, so not just owner being this superhero. So what usually happens in an owner-dependent business is the owner holds all the knowledge and the key relationships, and that's really actually holding back the growth of the business. So in a value-creating business, and the business invests in their team, and they distribute the knowledge and the skills among the employees that collectively drive the business forward. So the team is empowered and with the accountability and the authority to make key decisions without her. So there has to be some process and training to your team so they know how to make decisions. And in my own experience, in my own previous company, I frequently will hear my leadership team will say when they come to make decisions, they use the phrase, what would Jing do? So I feel very proud of my team. So that means I've done my job of coaching them. So to think from my perspective, and what would I do in that situation so that they can make decisions on their own and that I can trust that they make good decisions. And so that's super important. And to teach your team the skills. All right. So quick participation here. And I don't know how many people are able to participate here. So among the ones that are driving and chatbot, we'll see. So if your business is very dependent on you to make the decisions, type in owner. And if your business is team oriented, you have a team that's making decisions and driving the day-to-day operations, type in team. And Derek is going to help me narrate the chat.
All right. We've got 1 point on the board for team.
Great. Good
We
for
got
you.
one half and half. I can see that.
All right. So that's a quick checking in to see where we are right now among the audience. So the stronger your human capital is, the less dependent the business is on you. And then you would have more freedom in your hands to do other things and to work on the areas that are really important to you instead of being boggled down by those day-to-day noise within the business. And then that also increases the value of the business and decreases the risk. So in the eyes of a potential buyer. So let's talk about some strategies of enhancing your human capital. And I put 3 strategies here. Of course, there are more. And the first one is focusing on recruiting, getting the right people on your bus. And if anyone has read Jim Collins' book, From Good to Great, and he talks about your business just like a bus, it's important to get the right people on the bus and get the wrong people off the bus and then get the right people in the right seat in your bus. So there are drivers should be in the driver's seat. So that moves their business forward. And then they should be sitting in the front of the bus. And then there are people that are good at fixing things and solving the problems, and they're not driving. So that they should be in the back of the bus and fixing the problem. So both are important, but it's essential for the right people to be in the right seat. So to get that concept, put that into practice, first of all, we have to understand who are the right people. And then that's essential to be crystal clear on your business vision and mission, as well as your core values. If we are not clear on our core values, how do we know? So who are the right people that would share our core values, that would be excited about where we're going? So just like using the bus, you're taking a trip. So you're inviting people, come join us to take a trip. But if you're not clear where you are going, you may have wrong people on the bus. So halfway thinking, oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong bus. I'm really not excited about the destination. So you're going to the mountain, but I like beach. So I don't like going to the mountain. So that is very important to have a clear vision and mission. Where are you going? As well as what's important to you, your core values, and then develop a hiring process. So that will give you the chance of finding the right people that share your core values. And I actually did a presentation for CAS a couple of years ago about a recruiting hiring process. So based on the behavioral assessment framework, and that gives you a higher chance of hiring A players. So we call them A players. So that is a good core value fit as well as a good productivity and skill fit. And you can find that on Behavior Live. So that presentation is still there. So if you want to look more into that hiring process, and here I'm going to just give a little overview. If you don't already have a consistent hiring process, and develop one. So your hiring questions, your interactions, your observation points need to be centered around finding those core cultural fit. And that is more important actually than the skill fit. We always say you can teach anybody ABA, but it's really hard to teach someone who's passionate about what you do. How do you teach passion, right? You can discover them. And it's hard to teach someone that work ethics and excited about seeing the difference you're making in the lives of these children. So you have to find the right fit. So through a careful recruiting process, you're winning half the battle when you get in the right people on your bus and then keeping them in the right seat. And there are some assessment tools, so during hiring, that can be used. So we used to use a DISC assessment. So it's a personality assessment. So that had significantly improved our hiring results to match up their natural tendency with what the job requirements. So if people are naturally strong in certain area that matches with their job, so it's a lot easier for them to be successful and happier in that job role. But if their natural inclination is the opposite, they have to like push themselves really hard to meet what the job requires. So there are many tools that help you recruit the right people. And then the second one is the motivation and retention. So now you've got A players on your team, and think about how do you keep them. So when you have your A players, your goal is to keep them around forever if you can, because they're the ones that's driving your bus and moving your business forward and creating that sustainable value for you. And once you have A players, look at your environment. Do you have a work environment that really makes them excited about coming to work every day? So that energizes them, so they feel appreciated, and then they continue want to be part of this organization and to go where you want to go. So we have to, as behavior analysts, we understand so the impact of the environment, so on the behavior. So that's why also it's so important to have A players on your team. The danger of having B players and C players is they're dragging your A players down. They're driving your A players away because your high achievers do not want to work with people that are slackers, so that don't do their work. That would require a lot of like oversight to do what they need to do. So that really is the biggest danger of having the B players and C players. So your A players are going to be, oh, they're not doing their job. How can they still be here? And why am I working so hard? And then you motivate your A players to get them continue to contribute and excited, and think about your retention. So sometimes in a business, the top players don't always get our attention. On the contrary, the B players and C players are taking up a significant amount of energy of the owners. So that's where most of our time and energy go, to the underperformers. And we want to shift our attention and energy so to the high and top performers. So in behavior analysis, sometimes we see the good behaviors usually go unnoticed, but the bad behaviors get more attention. So we know this better than anyone. So we got to shift that. And then the other part is evolving. As your business grow, your people have to grow. We can only grow our business by growing our team. And especially the owner also has to grow. The leadership has to grow. And the owner and the leadership, you're like the lid of the organization. Everything happens under. So if we're going to grow the business, we have to raise the lid. So that means the leadership team needs to continue to grow and learn. The owner needs to continue to grow and learn. And so is the rest of your team. And A players don't like to be stagnant. If they don't feel like they're growing, either by learning new skills and new knowledge or growing in their career, they're not going to stay around forever. So they're going to go somewhere else to seek that growth. So keep that in mind. So your A players are looking for growth. So for every employee in your organization, think about this. Are there A player, B player, or C players? And what should I do with them? Do we need to have a growth plan? Everyone needs to have either a growth plan or an exit plan. And if this is an employee that you want to continue to help them grow and to retain them, think about how to motivate them, how to continue to grow them. Or even someone who is not meeting your expectation. So the first point is to give them feedback and help them grow and develop a growth plan. But if someone doesn't want to grow, so in your organization, and then you have to think about is that if this member is not an A player and not growing, and should we have an exit plan? So that's what we teach our managers and supervisors to focus on their growth. If someone is not growing and not a player, then we have to think about exit. All right. Let's see. And let's move along to this. So let's do a little bit knowledge share here. And if you can type in chat, just share one thing that you're currently doing to strengthen your human capital, or one thing that you plan to do to strengthen your human capital. So it's a knowledge share among the audience. So if there's best practice that you're doing, and please type in the chat. Can't see the chat. So
yep, Nancy's type. And don't say pizza parties. Pizza parties is the wrong answer. Nancy says mainly on A players, hire slow, fire fast.
yeah, thank you for sharing, Nancy. And a lot of times I hear owners say this all the time. And also in my own experience, every time if we finally let someone go who's the wrong player, we always think about, why didn't we do this faster? You see a big difference in your culture, and you see a difference in the productivity. So when you replace the A players, replace a B or C or BC players with an A player, we're always saying, why didn't we do this sooner? Anyone else has anything to share?
Looks like it's just Nancy.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. You get the gold star for participation.
But I hope you're doing that as Barbara was driving. So Barbara can't drive and text at the same time. So
I know we don't want her to, drive and text. All right, let's dive into the second one. So the second intangible capital, the second C, we call the customer capital. So that means the strengths of your relationship with your customer. So it's your customer's connection with your brand, not with the owner personally. So in an owner-dependent business, a lot of times the relationship is very personal, if not to the brand. And the relationship is either with the owner or with their favorite BCBAs or with their favorite RBTs. There are a lot of times I hear business owners say one of their BCBAs left or RBTs left. That caused client turnover. The clients either go and follow the BCBAs or the RBTs to wherever they're going, or they seek services somewhere else. Because that relationship is very individualized and to the person and not to the brand. And that makes it very risky for a business when the customer relations is personal and not to the brand. And I want business owners to think about, ask yourself right now, if one of my, let's say, really good BCBAs or RBT leaves, will that cause your clients to leave? And as an owner, if you are not involved in the day-to-day, would your clients become dissatisfied? Would they leave and go somewhere else? And if you're not involved in the day-to-day operations, would your business continue to attract clients to come to you? So think of these questions as reflective questions to assess your current relationship with your clients. And are they drawn to your brand or drawn to you or specific people? So in the ABA business, and the strong client relationships are built on trust and the impact your services have on their life. And to create those to create lasting value, your client's loyalty needs to be not to the individuals, but needs to be to your brand, like what your brand stands for. So they need to be drawn to your mission and your values and the results that you create for that. And they need to be talking about your business as a brand rather than talking about you as the owner or talking about and the specific BCBA. And there are many times, so I have talked to families, I would ask them, where are you currently receiving ABA services? Sometimes they'll say, I don't remember the name of the company. And this girl so-and-so comes to my house all the time. So we love her. She's great. So that is an indication of the company failed to develop that connection with the clients and with the customer. And they didn't have that relationship built with them. So because the client doesn't even remember the name of the company. So then there's a lack of engagement between the company and the clients. So in an owner-dependent business, and a lot of times the relationship of the referrals are also tied to the owner. the referral sources, the other doctor's offices or different entities that will refer clients to your business is because of the owner, because they have a relationship with the owner rather than they have a relationship with your brand. So it's important to shift that to your team so that they're managing those relationships. So with the clients and engaging with the clients as a company. And if your company stands for excellence, results, and quality, and you're going to draw clients to you, so to your business, so that builds that security and recurring revenue, even if you're not involved. So that is not going to cause any decrease in your business or any risk. Because to a prospective buyer down the road, either you sell in 20 years, 30 years, or in 5 years, your prospective buyer is going to look at that. What is the risk if the owner is not involved in the day-to-day operations? Am I going to lose all of these clients? We'll see if we'll get participation. If not, then I'm going to cut down some of the participation. So think of a business that you know of outside, within the ABA or outside of ABA. It's just in general business. What company has the best brand loyalty that you know of? Any participation?
I'm going to jump on this one. Nancy's coming back, but I'm going to jump on this one. McDonald's.
McDonald's? Any other input? Apple.
That's the other good one.
Yes.
You got 2 for Apple.
2 for Apple. Fantastic.
Starbucks. Barbara's texting Starbucks and driving. And I'll bet she has a Starbucks coffee in her cup holder right now too.
Yes. Those are all really good ones. Through a survey, the top number 1 is Apple. Apple has the best brand loyalty out of all, and followed by Amazon and Nike. And all of these big companies build their brand loyalty and by focusing on their high quality product, reliable product, as well as positive user experience and customer service. The user experience is very important. Speaking of Apple, I'm a very loyal iPhone user. And at one point, I had tried to use the Android phone, so did not like it because it wasn't a good user experience. It wasn't as intuitive and easy to navigate as iPhone. And then I switched back to iPhone and never pick any other smartphones other than iPhone. So that kind of like how they build their brand loyalty. And we can learn a lot from these bigger companies. And how do we build that brand loyalty with our clients? And by cultivating those deep relationships and to continue to generate recurring revenue. Because as ABA companies, our goal is not to keep them forever. And however, as long as the child needs services and continues to need support, we want to be the first choice. We want to be the one that they think of and come to. So that is what we're talking about, that brand relationship and recognition and your brand equity. And let's take a look at some strategies and tips of building that capital, that customer capital. So the first one is focusing on cultivating deep, trusting relationship. And even if you have good clients and you have good RBTs, don't leave that communication only between the clients with the individuals. And they have to see your companies as well. So they have to be connected with other people. Some of the things you can do so your business can from time to time and give the parents a call and just to checking in. How are things going? So are you happy with the services? Just checking in with them, a quick customer satisfaction survey. And they may receive some newsletter from you. So as a company and helpful tips for their children. So that way there is some kind of engagement. So with the company. So keep them informed about what your new initiatives, your events, what you're doing, and your new innovative programs. Keep them plugged into your development in your business. That way they have that relationship with the company, with the brand, not just with the RBTs and BCBAs, right? And because turnovers do happen in our in our industry. So some business have as high as 70% of turnover, and the lower one, so maybe 20, 30%. So it's even considered low. And with the right people on board, strong human capital, that cuts down the turnover rate. And with strong customer capital, when you do have turnover, so you're minimizing the turnover of the clients along with your employees. And we used to have clients that there are times when a BCBA left or RBT left, but we had some really loyal clients who will say, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to wait because we know that you always will assign the right people to continue the therapy. So we trust that you will put together the right team to continue, so to deliver top quality services. And that brings to the next one, deliver the top results and quality and world-class client experience is essential. And we're in the healthcare business. Clients, the parents want their kids to get better. And the result is your best competitive advantage. They're going to go to the providers that gets the best results. That means you have to focus on that result by hiring the people that have with the skills, with experience, and also have process and systems in place to ensure your quality service delivery so that it's ethical. And also you have to have systems in place to monitor your client's progress and the outcomes and able to share those results and outcome with your team and with your family so that they can clearly see the results and outcomes so that you're able to produce and that they see you as an essential part of their success. So they can't imagine not having your support to achieve the outcome for their child. So that's what you have to focus on. So the quality results and the client experience. So the client experience will go from every interaction that you have with your potential customer clients and with your existing clients. That is from the very first phone call they have with your brand, with your business, how you interact with them on the first time so that they call you and talk to you. And how do you ensure there's a consistent experience? So that doesn't vary from one person to the next. Today, one person answers the phone. That is great and amazing. And the next day is somebody else. So that answers the phone and introduces the business in a different way. So you have to have those processes to ensure those experiences that are consistent. For example, we used to have a script for our intake coordinators, and you talk about the business in a way that generates the best outcome and gives them the best experience. So we've scripted those phone scripts. So our intake coordinators will introduce the business in a way that we want them to. So they will consistently introduce the business, so the company in a consistent way so that they're hearing the same things from us. So with consistency, they're also building the brand recognition. So these are some tips so that you can use to have consistent process to give them a good experience. One of the things is always meeting their expectations. So imagine if you walk into a McDonald's and you're constantly figuring out why the menu changes all the time and the burgers taste differently every time you go to. And then you're always trying to figure out where the napkins are and the ketchup and where things are. And then you don't have a consistent experience. And then they don't always meet your expectation. So it's really important to create those internal process to have the consistent experience for your client and to meet their expectations. All right. So the third one is to diversify your client base and funding sources. I've heard this a lot. So from business owners, and they'll say we just lost 2 or 3 clients, and that significant impacts our cash flow because those clients are full-time clients. They get 40 hours of therapy hours per week. So losing 2 or 3, so that just loses a big chunk of our revenue. And then now we have RBTs who lost a big chunk of hours. we're not going to be able to replace them right away. So those clients, and then we're risking those RBTs going somewhere else because they need to work, they need hours, and that is a lot of risk. So think about how to protect your business from those client concentrations. So you have to think about diversify your client bases and your funding sources, and to provide that protection for your business. And I know a lot of ABA clinics only focus on full-time clients, full-time kids. Each one carries a significant amount of revenue. So in my previous business, we have clients who have intensive hours, and we also had clients who didn't have a lot of intensive hours, so probably 10, 15 hours a week. So we also had social skills groups. So we had schools. So we had a variety of different like service lines so that we offer. So if we lost one or two couple of clients, so that really wouldn't cause any big rift. So in our revenue, and then also you have to grow your business to a certain size to be able to do that. So as a business, kind of small business, that's why smaller businesses are always having more risk. Bigger businesses have lower risk. So just like a tree. So the bigger your tree is, so the deeper the roots are, and the better they can with the winds and the rain or hurricane or whatever. But the smaller the tree is, so any wind could blow it and knock it off. So think about the security of your business, so the risk profile, because that significantly affects the value. So the risk profile to grow your revenue, diversify your client base, and diversify your funding sources. And that not only benefits you now as you operate your business, so that also benefits your future as you exit. And we had talked about that a lot, about building the loyalty to your brand and not you. So in the early days of my own business journey, I actually I always enjoyed talking to the families. So talking to the parents, and very proud of introducing our services. So that was just something that I'm passionate about. However, to intentionally grow your value, I had to pull myself away from it. I didn't have enough time to talk to every parent, so that call us. So then I wouldn't have time to focus on the strategically growing the business. So that would not be the best way for me to focus my energy on. And second, by doing that, I was creating that dependency on the owner because everything was going through me. So in the early days, so I literally talked to every parent. So I knew all the kids' name, every parent's name. But at the time I was exiting, most of the kids, I didn't know who they were. So I only saw their name on paper. And talking to my team, sometimes I do meet with my team. So in the clinical meetings, so I do hear the names of the kids, and then sometimes so would be part of the discussion of their clinical treatment plan. So it's just because things that I enjoy doing, so not things that I have to do. And a lot of parents I didn't end up talking to. So as I was exiting my business, so we didn't really lose any clients and didn't lose anyone because of the change. All right, now let's dive down. So what time is it? I want to make sure. Okay, so gotta move faster. And the next one, and let's talk about your structural capital. As your business grows, you're going to bring more people, you're going to hire more people. And more people means more complexity. And adding your employee going from 3 employees to 4 employees, does that mean you're just like going from complexity of 3 to 4? So you're literally doubling your complexity. So if you're adding 6 employees, going from 3 to 6, the complexity actually 5 times. So here is a visual to show as you grow more people, the dots, the lines, so they're the connections. So these are the different interactions, different lines of channels of communication, different perspectives that's going on. So as more people are brought onto your team, so that significantly increases the complexity. So as your complexity increases without a system, without process, so that only means more chaos. And with more chaos, that's going to stall the growth of your business. So I had been there myself. So we hired a lot of people. We increased clients, but things just felt like chaotic. And in order for us to continue to grow, we actually had to slow down. So before moving fast, we had to slow down and intentionally build our system, build our processes, and streamline our communication and how things got done. And took about a 1.5 year process, so-called implementing a business operating system, which we will talk about next month in the next webinar. And that process took about a 1.5 years to put in place. So after that, we were able to scale. So we had the structure, just like you can't build your vehicle while it's driving high speed. So we have to slow down or build our vehicle and then able to take off. So that's what your structural capital is about, is to build that structure in your business. So structural capital refers to the infrastructure in your business, your processes, your financial structures, your strategies, your IT. And that is super important to have a good technology infrastructure, which Derek and Josh, they are the expert in that to help you with those. And your intellectual property. So are you protecting them? And all of those make up as your structural capital. So the strong structural capital allows your business to be less dependent on the owner. And I share in my first webinar. So in the early days of my own business, I was so busy in the day-to-day operations. So everyone was busy. Was just maxed out. So we never took the time to write things down and document the process. So everything, the knowledge was in our heads. It's like tribal knowledge. They were not documented. So when key employees left the business for personal reasons, whatever reasons, and I was very vulnerable at that point. I said, oh my gosh, I have no idea. So how these things were done. So by this key employee. So now she's about to leave. So we don't know what was happening in that department. So after that experience, it's like, okay, never again. As we grow our business, we're going to systematically document our processes and build checklists to ensure consistency and document step 1, 2, 3, how things got done. So if someone leaves the business, your knowledge stays. That's your intellectual property. That's your secret sauce, like your recipe. So imagine a restaurant that has a chef that cooks the amazing meals. There is no recipe. When the chef leaves, nobody else knows how to cook the same meals. And your customers come to the restaurant. It's like, how does this taste different now? So they're not coming back anymore, which we have experienced. So going to some restaurants so that you have different experience even with the food. So if everything is documented, that can be transferable, that knowledge, and that can be duplicated. So that builds value. So in your business, so that's your structural capital. That also cuts down the chaos to make your day-to-day a lot easier. So when you document all your process and continue to optimize them, and that improves your clients' satisfaction, your employee satisfaction, because everybody thrives in an organized environment and don't do very well in chaos. And here are some suggestions. A, document your processes, every position, every role as they're doing their job. And you want to identify what is important in what this person is doing. So intentionally ask the employee to document how they do things. And if this is a process that is going to be repeated, so let's say we're just starting this for the first time, but we know we're going to do this again, this is going to be repeated. We better start documenting them. And your onboarding, BCBA, RBT, orientation onboarding, that's a repeatable process. Make sure it's documented and it's followed by all. And it's optimized. Your client intake is a repeatable process. And your clinical supervision, so clinical direction, your treatment planning submission, a lot of those processes are repeatable. So make sure they are documented. Also develop technology infrastructure that can make your operations more efficient and easier and also can be very well repeatable. So that is the beauty of technology. So because sometimes humans tend to be inconsistent how we do things. So but technology seems to be more reliable. So in getting things done. And invest in your financial system. So this is a big weak area in many of the ABA businesses. So they don't really have a solid financial operations system, how to manage their payments, their patient copays. And I've heard this many times. To me, this is like, how did this happen? But that's real. I heard this many times from business owner and said that I have not invoiced any of the families for their copays, co-insurance for the last year. I'm like, what? So if their co-insurance is 20%, if you didn't invoice them, you didn't have a process of collecting their copays and co-insurance, you're losing 20% of your revenue right off there. And you have to have a strong financial operations process to stay on top of your revenue cycle management. So your credentialing, your authorization management, your claim submission, and if you use a third-party biller, so to take care of the claims for you. So you need to have a process to hold them accountable. So a lot of my clients, owners that I talk to, or my clients in the beginning might come and say, why is my bank account still getting smaller and smaller? And I usually say, what's in your account receivable? Oh, I have no idea. And then they finally look at their accounts receivable. There's, oh my gosh, I have almost $200,000 that's outstanding that has not been received. I said, the first step is you have to have a process and have regular weekly meetings with your biller or a report that you request them to send to you on a weekly basis so you know what is outstanding, what they have been doing, and to collect those outstanding claims and how much is over 30 days, what's current, what's 90 days or 60 days. So that way you are really stay on top of your accounts receivable, because that will significantly affect your cash flow. Cash flow is the number one reason for small businesses to close doors. Stay on top of those. And then identify and protect your intellectual property. So that's your training programs, your training manuals, so things that are proprietary to your business. So you need to make sure you have process in place to protect them. And also, if you're paying your employees, your BCBAs, to develop certain training programs, and you have to be very clear. So who owns the intellectual property rights to those products? If you don't have a process, you don't have that clearly laid out. So there can be disputes. So your BCBAs can leave your company and sell the training program or take it somewhere else while you pay for the time and while they're working for you for those to be developed. So think about protection of your IP knowledge there. All right. So let's talk about the last one. That is your social capital. So social capital talks about your company culture that embraces people, and it also optimizes all the other capital. And a company that has clearly defined values, have open communication, and consistent community engagement will attract more talented employees as well as loyal clients and customers. And that will increase their value down the road and build more equity into the business. So basically, it's like your reputation. So as a business, so in the eyes of the community, in the society, are you a good participant in your local community? So are you engaged? Do you engage with your local community, a big supporter of your local community? So that speaks a lot about your business. And then that generates clients to your business, drives employees to your business, and that builds value. And a lot of business owners, I've seen them not really focusing on that community engagement. So in my previous business, so we're very big supporters of Autism Speaks when they have the walks. We usually would participate in their we usually would be a sponsor, participate in their resource fair, organize walk teams, so to raise awareness in the community and for the organization. And then we, in Orlando, in Central Florida, we have multiple community groups. So there's the local Orlando Autism Greater Society of Greater Orlando. So we're really a big supporter of their events initiatives. So we'll sponsor their events, donate money, so organize walk teams, so participate in their resource fair and share their information. And there are some other parent groups, so they're mostly for parents. So they may have some event that's organized for the parents, and we usually try to support them. So by donating, let's say, raffle baskets so that they may want to use to give away or participate in their resource fairs. So I'm a strong believer of giving before taking. So, and be a good member of whatever the community that you are part of. So your local community and your professional community. So to participate, and that builds your brand. So to attract top employees. So also center everything around your vision and your mission, as well as your core values. And let's talk about some of the suggestions and tips about how to strengthen your structural capital. And the first one is clearly define and live your core values. So core values are not something just like pretty words written on the wall. And it's your company's DNA. So that's who you are. So that's something that you live every day, and your entire team will live those core values every day. So imagine you go into a bank that's fancy, marbles everywhere. So it's chipped on the wall. So professionalism, friendliness. So you're like, oh, great. This is such an amazing place to do business with. And then you get in line. And when it's your turn, the next thing you heard, the teller was saying, next. So that is completely opposite from what's on the wall, right? What you expect. So those words are just left to die on the wall. And everyone has experience with Chick-fil-A. So when you go through their drive-through, and they're always there to greet you with a big smile. They always say, my pleasure. So they take your order. So everything is very smooth, and you can feel their culture. You can feel people are happy. So working there, and they don't have those words written on the walls, but you can feel their values, they're lived through their employees. So it's very important. So in your ABA business, focus on the core values, focus on the culture, and to ensure a good environment. So for your clients, for your employees. So one of the signs is to see whether this is a thriving business, just to observe their employees. Do they look happy working in here, or do they look stressed? So do they look relaxed in that environment? And true story, I've heard people say, so that they usually bring their new employees on board as a group. So through their multiple centers, and a couple of employees left on day one. So that is their first day of employment. So they arrived to work, end of the day, left and never came back. And the feedback I've heard why they left, so is because they came and observed the other employees that are working there and thought the other people don't seem to be happy. They look stressed. They're always complaining. So then that drove away the new employees. So a healthy, thriving company, so focus on a good culture and in their organization. So focus on that. And foster a culture of respect, transparency, and growth. And always celebrate wins within your culture. And the work is hard. Every day that we have headaches that popping up. So the client issues, so different things, so the payers and the regulations. So that makes you want to bang your head on the wall or crawl in your bed is, oh, I don't want to deal with this. But every day there are also small wins. Teach your team to focus on the wins. So that builds resilience in your team. Yes, our work is hard. Our line of work is hard. And however, there are many small wins in our everyday, and shift their mindset to focus on wins and celebrate them as a team, as an organization, and make that part of your culture. And we used to start every meeting with kind of shared wins. So we had different team meetings, so leadership team meetings, clinical team meetings, our school team meetings. We always start the meeting with a quick round of good news or share wins. So what happened last week? That was a win for you, a personal win and a professional win. So to get people focused on the positives and get involved in your local and professional community. All right. I think we have gone over the time a little bit. So let's wrap up quickly and just a recap from like last time. So what we do to help AB business owners, we have the coaching and consulting to help you grow your business, your operations excellence, and the financial operations advisory to make sure you're financially healthy. And then we do exit planning and merger acquisition. Thank you very much for having me here and for spending the time, your last hour with me. I appreciate you all.
Jing, thank you once again. I do want to mention to everyone that this is a 3-part series. So we had our webinar last month. We have this one this month, and next month is going to be very important because if you have any experience in building a business, we know that while we've had a very important focus today on your human capital, we know that we don't want to build a business on people. The business depends on those people to operate a good, solid system built within your structure. And we don't want to be unicorn hunters. They're really hard. It's really hard to find unicorns out there that can magically perform in your business. So we want to make sure that we're building those systems so that the average performing employee can run them. And then when you happen to find a rock star who comes in and makes things great, they're the ones that are going to help you drive those systems forward and evolve them. So that is what Jing is coming back next month to talk about, is building that business operating system. Super important. Really look forward to that. Also, if you want to do some self-study and get started on putting together some of your systems, we have a free course for that. So Josh will drop the link for that in there. And then when you start to develop out your systems and get serious, that's when you need expert help to come in and start working on those direct areas of your business and optimize them. So Jing, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the group, and everyone drive safe. If you're still driving, Barbara, be careful out there.
Yeah, stay safe. Hope to see all of you next month on the 14th.
May 14th. We'll see you then, everybody.
Bye.
You're already doing the work, investing your time, your energy, and your vision. So let's make it count. Build something that works without breaking you. The EBCBA Blueprint is the way. Get started for free with our foundation course.